welcome to day 3 of our Christmas Confections Countdown. So, the past 2 days, we had a lot of fun, right? So today we're gonna pick our third and see what magical dessert we will be baking this evening for our very magical holly time of the year. All right, so we are on night 3 right here. What do we got? We have a gingerbread cheesecake with a bourbon gingerbread cookie crust. I remember wanting to put this one on the list. I am so happy I did because that sounds absolutely delicious. Okay, so what do we need to get started with this one? First things first, we are going to have to do our crust. So I'm thinking minis because minis are easy to eat and we don't have to worry about them when we slice it, them drying out. You know, I said, I think in the pie one, we don't go anywhere. So all these desserts are pretty much just hanging out around my house and going to friends or, you know, whoever, maybe to my husband's work. I don't know. We don't go places. So I'm not taking these anywhere. So I want to do minis because minis are easy to transport. And also if I want to freeze them, I can freeze them, leave them in the fridge. They're not going to get weird for slicing, you know? So I'm thinking we do a mini and I'm thinking, I gotta think about garnish. I'm thinking a little chocolate gingerbread on top would be a lot of fun. And also because then I can eat chocolate gingerbreads. Like a little chocolate candy. It would be super cute. I have a mold actually for that. So I think that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do mini cheesecakes. We're going to start with our crust. Let's get to it. Okay, so I think I might have mentioned this 1 or 2 or I don't know how many times. I'm not a drinker, so I don't keep bottles of bourbon in the house, but I do have this cutest little tiny bottle of Woodford Reserve Kentucky Straight Bourbon whiskey. We're gonna use that for our crust because this is going to bake out. We're just looking to get the flavor in there. And then I went with a store-bought ginger snap to do the crust. And then I have some vanilla and some butter. Now, I want to get the most out of my bourbon flavor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to melt this butter and put the whiskey in the butter, and then we're going to add that into our bourbon crust or into our gingerbread crust. And hopefully some of that bourbon flavor stays. And then we're going to put it in our pans. And the pan I was thinking of using, I have this. Looks like a muffin tin, but it's actually got removable little bottoms. And I've had this for a couple of years. I've used it several times for cheesecakes. I bought it at a little shop in, let's say I was in Chicago, like somewhere in that Chicago area when I bought this little pan. I am missing one disc. I don't know where the heck that disc has gone, but that's okay. I'll put parchment down there, and then I'm going to have to wrap this entire thing in foil to keep the water bath out of it. So I'm going to do like sections because we're definitely going to want to cook this in a water bath. I've had pretty good luck doing it this way, so we'll see. But that's going to be my plan. I'm going to do a little crust on the bottom and then fill the rest up with our gingerbread cheesecake. This is one I've made before. But not quite like this. I've never tried putting the bourbon in the ginger snap crust. I have put the bourbon in the cheesecake. I don't want to do that this time. I don't mind that flavor, but we're not doing that this time. So I'm going to melt some butter and infuse it with our bourbon, and then we will put it all into the food processor and get us a nice buttery crust for the bottom. Okay, I've got this thing wrapped in so much foil that I hope no water is getting into the bottom of this. I don't know why I didn't think about it, but I should have. The last time I did this, I actually stuck it in one of those crock pot bags. I don't like to cook in the crock pot bags because I don't like plastic coming in contact with my hot food. I don't know, that's just me, I'm just weird. But they're great for things like this when I'm trying to keep water out of the inside of my cheesecake. So next time around, maybe I'll remember to stock up on crock pot bags. But we're going to hope this foil holds. I'm not putting a lot of water in here. I'm doing a very thin layer, so it should be fine. I just need enough to kind of make it evenly cook. But what we're gonna do right now is we're going to take some cooking spray, get these nicely coated so none of our crust sticks, and then I'm gonna stick a little of the crust down in there. And then while this is just kind of hanging out, I'm going to bake this probably for like maybe 5 minutes. Maybe just to kind of get that crust, a little caramelization there. And then we are going to start working on our batter. And the one does have my parchment paper because it was sometime when we moved. I have no idea where that, got a nice fine smoky missed the Pam, where that bottom went. I have all the other ones. I don't know how I lost just one. I'm sure eventually I'll find it and it'll be like, oh, hey, I was wondering where you went. Or maybe I'll find it in my kids' playhouse, quite honestly. It's where a lot of my spatulas end up, so I wouldn't be surprised. Okay, so I have a nice cookie crust here. So I'm gonna kind of just make some little balls of this. Let's pop those down in there. Kind of start working on my crust. I don't want a thick layer of crust because these are not very large cheesecakes, and I want the star of the show to really be that filling, that gingerbread filling we're gonna be making. A little bit more in there. I'm going up the side just a tad, not a lot. Okay, so I'm gonna pop this in my oven. I got my oven sitting at 375 right now, and I'm just gonna let it bake for about 5 minutes, and then we will start working on getting everything prepared for our cheesecake filling. I'm not gonna start the filling until these are out of their little pre-bake, but I am gonna get all my ingredients together for the cheesecake. All right, so I just took this out of the oven. They were only in there for a couple of minutes, and I pretty much just wanted to get the baking process started on it. I wish you could smell the inside of this kitchen. This entire kitchen smells like gingerbread because those ginger snaps are baking down with the butter. And I'm getting a hint of the bourbon, which is great because I wanted the bourbon in my crust. So here is my supplies that I have for the cheesecake. I have my cream cheese here. I've got brown sugar because we want it to taste like a gingerbread cookie or a gingerbread cake, or so it has brown sugar. So I got some brown sugar. I have molasses. I have 5 eggs, some flour, sour cream, vanilla, and then my own mix of gingerbread spices. It's nutmeg, allspice, cloves, cinnamon, and then I also added a little cardamom in there. And that is going to be what we're going to use for our cheesecake. So, and I will list all of this in the description. So we are going to move over here to our mixer, which I've already got set up. It's set up with the paddle attachment, and we are going to mix up this whole thing, and then we are going to put it into our prepared pan and get it in a water bath and put it in the oven. All right, so to do our cheesecake base, we are going to start with our cream cheese, and we want to get it nice and fluffy. So I'm going to grab my cream cheese. I kept it in my packets. I didn't put it in a bowl because I didn't want it to get too warm, but I did want it to come to a softer texture, so I wanted it to get more like close to room temperature but not get warm, if that makes sense. I'm just gonna pop. Ooh, that's a lovely sound in the camera, I'm sure. I'm gonna pop my cream cheese, and I've got 2 of them here. And I have a basic cheesecake base recipe that I love to use. And I just kind of mix the flavors a little bit and kind of play with it. I've done a whole lot of different things with it. Put that one in. All right. Now we are going to close this up or pull it down. We are going to start it up and just let it get fluffy. And now I'm going to add in my eggs. They're gonna go in one at a time while the mixer is running. And all of these ingredients should be at room temperature too. Just a note. I have my handy little close-up cam here. I'm gonna put this on low. Start gradually adding my eggs in one at a time. And I'm gonna wait till it's fully incorporated before I do anything else. And if you get a double one in there, I mean, like, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, it's hard when you got eggs in a bowl. Especially when you're trying to avoid making a massive mess, which is my typical baking style. I typically make a very big mess. It's fine, you can clean it. That's what kitchen towels are for. You see how it's completely gone? It's completely incorporated. We're gonna add in the next guy. I'm gonna break this up just a little bit because I've had it sitting in the bowl for a few minutes. It's starting to sink back down into itself, and I don't want it to go in one gigantic clump. All right. And this is my spice blend right here. I don't know if you can see. I just kind of mixed all of my beautiful little spices into this bowl. And kind of and get ready for the beautiful smell of fall flavor. You can see how well that's looking, mixing in there. Oh, so pretty. I love it. All right, now we're gonna add our molasses. And I'm using the same spoon, that's what the brown is from the molasses, just to make it a little easier on myself. This is another thing also that is at room temperature. I'm actually going to stop the mixer and just make this little, we'll stop the mixer and put all this in. This is the point where we're going to get our volume and body out of our cheesecake base. I'm going to take the opportunity also while my machine is off to scrape down the sides and the paddle and make sure all of those good spices are staying in our base and not staying on our paddle. You definitely do not want to leave any of those behind. Let that go until that's all fully incorporated. Look at how beautiful that color is. That is a gingerbread color. And I'm going to bake it for about an hour. I'm going to bake it and see where it's at and see if it's doing its jiggle test. And then once it's cooked for about an hour and I'm happy with the way that it's looking, I'm going to prop the oven open and just let it cool in the oven. I'm not going to take it out the oven. I'm just going to prop it open, let it sit in the oven to come to to whatever temperature it's going to go down to, and then that's when I'll pull it out and let it cool the rest of the way on the stove. The good cheesecake takes 24 hours to season. I never know in those challenges how they manage to go like right from the oven to putting it on the judges table, because they didn't let it cool down. They didn't let it get cold. They didn't put it in the fridge to season. I don't know. But maybe they're doing something right, because they always have one of those cheesecake challenges. But I'm going to let mine season fully because I want the best tasting gingerbread cheesecake I can get. Then I'm going to put everything in the oven, and I will see you when these cheesecakes are ready to be unmolded after they've had their time to season and everything. All right, so we are back. Our cheesecakes have gone from being in the oven for an hour, roughly about an hour, to then sitting in an oven turned off for about 30 minutes, and then going room temperature, then into the fridge. I did not let this one sit 24 hours. The rest of them are still molded, sitting for the whole 24 hours, but I just couldn't wait. So I did my own version of the blast chiller, which is what they do on those shows. They stick them in the blast chiller. But my version of the blast chiller is sticking it in my ice box in my freezer. And so that's what I did here. And I think it came out great. I am very happy with how it came out. We did get some cracking in here. But the crust is a good thickness. It's firm. The cheesecake is sitting nice. When I took them out of the oven, I don't know if it's the molasses or maybe the temperature I had my oven at is also possible. They kind of like puffed up like a popover, and I was like, oh no. But you know what? The crack is not even that big of a deal, because it on the top looks like a gingerbread cookie. And that makes me happy. So what I have and what we're going to do is I'm going to do a little decorating. I have some stabilized whipped cream here with the little tip on it that I like to give me a nice little swirl. I've got some of the graham crackers crumbed up here. And then I got like the little cutest little gingerbread guy made out of chocolate there. I made him out of 90% dark chocolate. I did not fill him because I decided I wanted the star of my show to just be the cheesecake itself. I didn't want to have a filled truffle on top, and it's not that big of a piece. So I wanted the star of my show to be my cheesecake itself. So I'm going to just take a little bit of the stabilized whipped cream, and we are just going to do a little rosette right on top. Give ourselves a place for our little gingerbread man to sit. I'm just going to add smaller crumb pieces to this. I'm just going to add a little bit of our gingerbread crumb to the top. And there we go. That's our little gingerbread guy. So I kept some chocolate to the side from when I was molding the little gingerbreads in case I wanted to drizzle, but I don't think he needs a drizzle. He is so cute. Absolutely loving it. And this little mold I got from Joann's, I bought it on sale last year. They probably have it again this year, but it was super cute. It's just a little gingerbread, and there's also snowflakes in there. And he's adorable. I love him. He's adorable. Oh, so cute. Oh, and it smells like gingerbread. It's beautiful. So we're going to try this. It hasn't had its full 24 hours to season, so I am going to give it very generous room here. But I do want to try it because I did try the batter, a little bit of the batter before it went in the oven, and I really enjoyed where the flavors were going. So I have to try it. We have to try it. All right, so let's see how this little guy tastes. Oh, I don't even want to cut into him. He's too darn cute. Oh my goodness. Okay. Oh, it's beautiful inside. That crust is beautiful. Of course, it will be better once it's seasoned through. I'm a big advocate for seasoning your entire 24 hours with your cheesecake. Those gingerbread spices pair beautifully with the cream cheese. Also, putting our whiskey or our bourbon in the butter, although I know that all the alcohol has cooked out, it still retained the flavor. It actually kind of smells like, it tastes like the bourbon smells. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's kind of what I'm tasting. But yeah, it's good. It's going to be really good after it's 24 hours. Really, it's the crust is chewy. It's got good layering. The top is like got a nice crust on it, just like a gingerbread cookie. Like a nice soft gingerbread cookie would have a crust, or like the gingerbread cake would have a crust. So that's really good. I'm really proud of this one. So I would say based on this dessert, I definitely will survive to challenge another day. And we will be back tomorrow with what day are we on? Day 4. We will be back tomorrow with day 4. If you decided to make a gingerbread cheesecake, even if you don't use the bourbon crust, please find me over at Instagram at the Busybug Homestead and use the hashtag 12 confections of Christmas Countdown to tag me in your confections if you're baking along with me. And if you're new here, please subscribe. Join me for the next couple of days where I'll be doing all the way up to, I think it's going to land on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. We're going to do 12 straight videos in a row. Today is number 3. So if you feel like sticking around and seeing what else I come up with, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you get notified when I post my videos every day. And thank you so much for stopping by, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye.